Charm chats with Kendra and Kat. Just a couple of girls talk about this and that. Get familiar with Blue and the charmed ones too. Charm chats. Welcome to Charm Chats with Kendra
and Kat.
Kendra is sick today.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to be sick at some point in the near future because the weather is changing.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also you're here with me today.
Yeah.
And the doctor has told me I have acute pharyngeal discomfort, which is basically a sore throat.
Yeah. You know, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So we both have tea, and
yes.
we both have sweaters, though I'm not wearing mine at the moment because...
I'm actually a little overheating.
Yeah.
But I'm not wearing anything under the sweater, so I can't really take it off.
Well, you could, but that would be a different podcast.
This is true. I will just stick with my rooibos.
Yes. But you
and
can
my
always,
puppy bows.
Yeah, you can always push your sleeves up, I'm sure, if you get too bad. I'm wearing a t-shirt because I knew that I had a sweater down here.
Mm-hmm. Which we apparently don't need because it's kind of a hot spurt today. Or
yeah, it's actually kind of warm down here.
Heat wave!
Yeah. And I'm drinking tea, so that makes it warm as well.
This is true. This is very true. We are at episode 119, so titled Out of Sight, and for some reason in recalling it, I thought it was called Blind Spot.
Well, because you're close.
Well, I know.
In the UK and Australia, it's blind-sighted.
I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah. But it was also...
I didn't go on the wiki train.
It was also the promo title, apparently. So the script that I use to look at has that as the title, and it was confusing the crap out of me, and then I was like, oh right, they're in the UK, and that's what it was called in the UK.
Yeah.
So it's like, alright. This episode aired on May 5th, 1999, which was my brother's 22nd birthday.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yep. That means nothing to anyone else, but I just thought it was interesting.
Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo, absolutely. And the full expression used in the title of Out of Sight is out of sight, out of mind, which is a proverb that basically means if you don't see someone or something frequently, you will forget about it, which is kind of bullshit.
True.
Because, like,
even if something's staring you in the face frequently, you may forget it's there.
Yeah.
Because you'll acclimate.
Exactly. I think you'll actually acclimate more for something that you see all the time. You forget that it's there.
Yeah, like Blue kissing your fingers.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't... Yeah, I didn't even notice. Didn't even notice. Hi, thank you for kisses that I did not notice. Can I get kisses on my face? Oh, thank you. So once again, as per usual, we apologize in advance for any sounds you may hear in the background that I cannot cut out. But we're trying new soundproofing. We have figured out the microphone situation, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So that seems to be awesome. And yeah. So let's get into this episode. Out of sight.
Out of mind.
No. So we start immediately seeing some boys running in a park.
A lot of boys with a ball.
Mm-hmm. And a banner that reads, Happy Birthday, David! Space. Exclamation point. Exclamation point. Like, it was the fact that it was a space that made me laugh. But it was in multiple colors, so you know that had to cost a pretty penny.
Yeah.
Because I used to work at Kinko's. That shit is expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Prue, Piper, and Phoebe are there, sitting at a table with presents and paper plates for some reason. We don't know why they're here or who they know at this party, because it's a party full of,
children.
Toddlers.
They're not toddlers.
No, they're like 10 maybe.
Yeah, they're
They're
my
tweens
age at this time.
They're tweens. Piper is in a brownish tan jacket, a purple skirt, and a blue top. It's kind of like a purpley blue. Phoebe has on a brown leather jacket over a black top with a pink sweater thing that looks like it's only buttoned by the very top single button.
Indeed.
It's a little odd. We can't see the bottom of her outfit yet. Prue is wearing a black leather jacket over a black top and black pants, and she's not got a necklace on.
Or a bra.
Yeah, I don't think she wears a bra this entire episode.
She doesn't.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Oh, we'll be talking about that. Abso-freaking-lutely.
Also, her black top is definitely a crop top.
Yeah, I didn't notice it till later, but yeah, I probably have note of that in my notes.
Yeah, but anyway, they're sitting at this table chatting about Piper and Josh's relationship because Piper has an inkling that after 3 dates, Josh is about to have the sex talk.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of protection?
Yeah. Standard dating protocol, you know.
As Phoebe says.
Yeah.
Which I don't think Piper is quite aware of what standard dating protocol is.
I don't think Piper has done the standard dating period, so.
Yeah. The only relationships we know about are Jeremy, Leo, Josh now, and the one dude she mentioned that Phoebe apparently stole in high school.
Yeah. That's really about it. And the one guy that she went on the date with for the superstition-y thing that ended before it started.
That's not a relationship. But
I'm just saying. That's the only other, romantic anything we have seen. But, so Piper apparently thinks that sex equals relationship, but she's being all Piper about it, and she's worried because she thought that she and Leo were a couple.
And then they coupled.
Yeah.
And he ran off.
Yeah.
And of course Phoebe does this non sequitur about, I don't think that's why Leo left.
Yes. Well, but I also like the fact that Prue's like, men seem to have a different definition of coupling than women do. It's like...
Yeah, it's probably involving pipes. Couplings.
It's funny because Pipes is a nickname for Piper.
I know.
So that's a twofold.
Yep.
And I like it.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Piper looks like she's going to question the whole I don't think that's why Leo left thing when a woman named Dee walks up to the girls with a young boy that we learn is named David. So he's the birthday boy.
Yes, the birthday boy.
Yes.
And he is played by Scott Terra.
Oh, you looked him up. I didn't look him up.
I looked him up. I didn't look her up. I was just
looked her up.
No, I just looked at the mom and I'm like, her hair is very 50s housewife. And that was all I said.
So tell us about Scott Terra.
So Scott Terra hasn't been in a lot. He only has 23 acting credits on IMDb. And the last one was in 2010. And before that, it was pretty much like 2003. Mm-hmm. He was in a Disney Channel movie that I adore called Motocrossed.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that one.
Uh-huh. He was also in Eight-Legged Freaks.
Okay.
Which is about spiders, so you probably won't want to watch it.
Definitely did not see that.
With Scarlett Johansson and Matt Zuckery.
Who's Matt Zuckery?
He was on Gilmore Girls and The Good Wife.
Okay.
He was Logan
on Gilmore Girls. Okay, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which I had not known that Matt Zuckery was in that movie. And it's a movie I've seen more than twice. So, whatever.
Hey, it happens.
Also, he was in the 2003 Ben Affleck Daredevil as young Matt Murdock.
Nice.
And there were pictures of him at the premiere. But the last thing he apparently starred in was The Big C in 2010.
Oh, yeah, no, that was a show about cancer. I didn't watch that one.
Yeah.
I lived cancer. I don't need to watch shows about it.
Well, the only thing I know about that is that the description very eerily mirrors Breaking Bad. And it's just funny because, look, here's one teacher and what they do when they find out they're diagnosed with cancer. Mm. And here's another one.
And they went completely opposite directions?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I will admit, I haven't watched all of Breaking Bad. I've watched, most, I want to say, of the first season, and then I just kind of was like, there's too much drama in this, I can't deal right now. Mm-hmm. So I might eventually go back. I know how it ends, because, people, spoilers and such, but
but he was also on a couple episodes of, Seventh Heaven, and Touched by an Angel.
Okay.
And that's all I can really remember. I didn't write down all of it.
That's fine. Mm-hmm. So the woman named Dee is played by Maureen Muldoon, which I just like that name. Mm-hmm. It's very nice. She hasn't done a whole lot of stuff, but she did do a couple of episodes of CSI, and she was in an episode of the TV show Herman's Head, which is a show that no one ever remembers except me. Even though it had 3 seasons, no one ever seems to remember it. It had Hank Azaria in it. It had Yeardley Smith in it, which... people will know them from, Simpsons and such. But the main character was played by William Ragsdale, and he was in the sequel to the movie Mannequin, which is the best thing that I have ever found out about someone.
Oh, no.
Because I really enjoyed the first Mannequin movie. I didn't even know there was a second one. And now I have to go find it and watch it because...
It can't be good.
It can't be, but I want to see it now. I'm so mad, because I enjoyed the first one.
The first one was fine.
If you don't know the premise, the vague premise of the first one...
There's a mannequin.
Yeah, a mannequin comes to life, man falls in love with mannequin, mannequin falls in love with man.
Hijinks
Wackiness ensues. Yeah. It's a stupid fucking comedy romance movie, but it is so the epitome of the 80s. It is wonderful. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so as Piper makes pleasantries with Dee and David. Prue's phone rings.
And apparently David is playing something called Squish the Squash.
Yeah.
I tried to find out about it. I couldn't find anything that wasn't related to motor development in computer games for, like, autistic children.
Okay.
It was a very specific phrase that apparently returned nothing. Whatever.
Interesting. I just assumed it was a game they made up for the thing because it sounded funny. He asks about the cake, and when he gets his answer, he runs off to tell his friends, 5 minutes for cake, guys! Dee thanks Piper for doing whatever it is that she's doing, apparently for free.
Or for cheap enough because she could never afford actual catering because she blew all her money on that sign.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Huge fucking banner.
Prue returns. Apparently Claire has called her about some appraisal or other and she needs to leave.
Yep.
We see the kids playing with the ball, and one of them, like, throws it super wide, and David tries to catch it, but, like, falls over, and he's like, I'll go get it, because it lands over in the woods.
The kid throws it into the bush. Like, he doesn't even try to throw it at a kid, or he just chucks it at the bush. Like,
he's 10.
I know, but, like, if you, like, he just chucks it at the bush. You're just like, child, no. So David runs into the bush, gets the ball, throws it back out to his friends.
And as he turns and starts walking away, he hears a very fake-sounding meow.
Yeah.
Turns around, and we see this creepy white face staring out.
Creepy albino bald dude.
Wearing all black.
He jumps out of the bush, grabs David. David screams, as Prue is just happens to be walking along the path at this point.
Yeah, the orientation of how this works confuses the hell out of me, because he clearly... You could see the angle at which the ball went in. He would have been visible to the kids and his mom and Piper and Phoebe. And somehow Prue's the only one?
Yeah, no, but my absolute favorite is that if you actually, like, if you watch, because the way that I watch the show, if you watch, they didn't have her walking up the path before they turned the camera on. They turned the camera on and they're like, action, and then she started moving. Because you can see, like, she's walking so stiffly. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's stupid, but it's funny. So she sees what's happening. She runs toward David yelling for him, and then she puts her hands up, and albino dude and David fly around into the air.
And there's some lovely CGI bordering on them.
Yeah, and you can kind of tell, especially on David, that he has a harness on because his clothes look really bad. Like, they look stupid, awkward, and
they wouldn't
too
have
big
even needed a harness. They would have just needed to stand separately.
Yeah, they could have just, hunched.
Like, jumped to the side and just stood, because the way she's holding them up in the air, they're just standing.
Yep. And then a man just happens to see her because he was jogging on the path when David cried out. He started to come running, but he stops as he sees them in the air and just stands there creepily in the bushes. He's wearing black Adidas pants, a light gray shirt, and a blue zip-up hoodie, in case you care. Though I know we see him later, and I don't think I wrote down what he was wearing later. Doesn't really matter. It was just I happened to notice it this time. But we get an insert shot of Albino's eyes doing a weird, like, swirly red thing.
Yeah.
And then Prue looks at her hands, and they fall to the ground. Because apparently looking at her hands broke her concentration.
Yeah.
And dropped the power.
So naturally, the albino dude seizes this opportunity and seizes the child and runs off.
Yeah.
So Prue makes chase.
Yeah. So this is the first episode where she has now channeled her telekinesis through her hands. We don't normally do spoilers, but from this episode onward, the producers decided that Prue has to start using her powers through her hands because it became too expensive to zoom in on Shannon's eyes and then shoot whatever they were having her move.
Is that the actual reason, or is that just what you think?
That is the actual reason on IMDb.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It became too expensive for her to squint, which I just think is fucking funny. So, David yells for help, she runs after them, and this is where we see that her shirt is a crop top, because of course it is.
Yeah, and she's not wearing a bra, and if she's not careful, she's going to poke someone's eye out with those nips.
Yeah, apparently it was cold that day. So, the albino dude stands in a spot with brown grass and bushes around him, waves his hand, and a lovely CGI hole appears in the ground. He jumps in, the hole closes behind him. And then we see Prue coming to a spot that looks like it might have been where he went. But then we get a wide shot with her standing
and there's clearing,
wide
open.
A huge clearing, green grass and trees behind her. So it looks like it's a completely different location.
Because it is.
But here's my thing. I went frame by frame, and her face, like the way that she looks from the close-up shot to the wide shot, looks like it was the same take.
So maybe she's just good?
I don't know.
Because, people are capable of making the same facial expression twice.
But
it's rare, I will admit.
Yeah,
but it does happen.
But it looked, nigh identical. My only thought process...
Well, her face is nigh identical.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But the only thing that I can think of is that there is the possibility that because the wide shot was taken from an upward angle, looking down on her, that if that camera had, zoomed in, then we'd see the bushes behind her and the dead grass behind her. So there is the possibility.
Because, from what I could see, the area where they created the hole had tree cover. And when we go to the wide shot, she's nowhere near trees.
Right, well, the only other option there is that she's not in the spot that he was in.
Or that.
Yeah.
She probably ran past it.
Yeah, because that's the only thing, is that if that would be more plausible, is that she ran past where their spot was into this clearing and is like, well, there's nobody in this clearing, where the fuck did they go? That, I would think, would be a much more plausible explanation. So, then we get the opening credits, and now we get to go wiki tangenting.
Yay!
Okay, so, the post-credit song on the DVD is Hermes Bird by Remy Zero. We'll come back to them in a mo.
Do we know that it's pronounced that way?
No. It might be Hermes Bird, but I look at that word and I go, Hermes, because...
Scarves.
Because I watched Devil Wears Prada, So we'll come back to Remy Zero in a minute. Netflix had Sun Comes Out by the Parlotones from 2007. And the Parlotones are a South African indie rock band from Johannesburg that was formed in 1998. The most interesting thing that I read about them is that in September 2009, they partnered with a company called Hands On Wine to release a red wine named after one of their songs, Giant Mistake, which is an unfortunate name for a wine. Mm-hmm. Then, in April of 2010, they released a white wine called Push Me to the Floor, which is another unfortunate name for a wine, but closer.
Less unfortunate.
So. And then in October of 2010, they released a rosé named We Call This Dancing, which is the only one that isn't an unfortunate name for a wine.
Yep.
So, how about we go back now to a bit about the more interesting Remy Zero. They are an alternative rock group from Birmingham, Alabama, that was formed in 1989. One of the members, Shelby Tate, is now legally known as Remy Zero. Remy Zero, the person, not the band, is brothers with one of the other band members, August St. John Tate. He just goes by St. John because that's much cooler than August.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. The band also includes guitarist Jeffrey Kane, bassist Cedric Lemoyne, and drummer Gregory Slay.
Oh, that's a good name.
Mm-hmm. Gregory Slay died on New Year's Day of 2010 at the age of 40 due to complications from cystic fibrosis.
I think you mean he was slayed.
He was slain.
Slain.
He was slain. So yeah. But the reason that I bring him up is because he and his wife, Tiana, named their daughter Honeymoon.
Honeymoon Slay.
Yeah, that is just the coolest name, right? Honeymoon Slay.
The only way that would be better if it wasn't the killing version of Slay, but instead the snow Slay.
Yeah, true. I get that. I see it.
Because then you would have, when she gets married, she'd be a honeymoon sleigh on her honeymoon sleigh.
Yes. Anyway, Remy Zero, the band, not the person, is named after a fictional prophet created to represent the band's hope and spirituality. Before they had released any full-length albums, the Britpop band Radiohead found their demo tape and invited them to come on one of their tours. It was for the one they did for The Bends, which came out in 95. Mm-hmm. So the band has been around since 89, and in 95 they're like, come on this tour with us, we like your demo. So yeah, after which Remy Zero, the band and the person, moved to LA to record their first album. So again, they didn't have a full studio album until 1995-ish. But the first album didn't have as much success as they had hoped. However, their second album had a song on it called Save Me, which became the Smallville theme song.
Yeah!
Which I didn't even know that I knew that song until I watched the video for it, and the video is quite interesting. So if you've never watched it, I'll put a link on the website to the YouTube video, because it is very, very interesting. Anyway, they broke up in 2003, but then the band got back together in 2010 to play a tribute concert to Gregory Slay, and then did a few more shows that year before disbanding again. But the most interesting bit about this, and the real reason that I wanted to go on a tangent about it,
Pourquoi?
St. John Tate and Alyssa Milano were married.
Oh, wow.
And Holly and Shannon were bridesmaids in her wedding.
Oh my gosh.
They got married on January 1st, 1999, so they were married at the time of this episode.
Oh, no wonder this was featured on this episode.
Yeah. However, they were only married for 11 months before he walked out on her. Supposedly, she was too self-centered, quote-unquote, for him. There's a GeoCities page that I found that is a transcript of a National Enquirer article, so take that for what you will.
Wow,
I'll link it on the website.
That is a time capsule.
But yeah, it was an interesting article to read, let me tell you. Apparently, he thought she was too self-centered, that he was on tour, and then when he came back, she didn't want to see him. It was a weird article. Like I said, link on the website. It's fascinating, but remember that it is a transcript of a National Enquirer article, so, grain of salt, I guess.
Or, a salt lick.
Yeah, salt shaker is usually what I say.
No, I just bring me a salt lick.
Well, because a salt lick is, compressed, though.
Yes, but it's a lot of salt.
Yeah, but a salt shaker, you got a lot of grains, you can chuck that at people.
Yes, imagine how many grains are in a salt lick.
Yeah, but you can chuck that at one person, but...
Yes, but it'll be mightily effective.
Yeah, it'll knock them out. I remember my guinea pig had a salt lick.
Aw.
I miss my guinea pig. Okay, now that I have saddened myself by thinking of my guinea pig, let's get back to the show, at least for a moment. So we start with a shot of the Golden Gate Bridge that we haven't had before. It's from far away, shows a lot of the water. There's also some, sun flare, like some lens flares, which made me think of J.J. Abrams a little. Then there's a shaky shot of the Triangle Building, which leads to an overhead shot of the Triangle Building. Then a streetcar, which brings our total up to 24. And now we tangent just a little bit again. This one had an ad for Shochikubai Sake. Sure, which I apologize if I have completely butchered that name.
You got most of it right.
Okay. It's made by Takara. Mm-hmm. And according to their website, this is their main brand of sake in Berkeley as well as Japan, which I thought was very, very funny. Apparently it's the best-selling sake in the United States. From the website, and I quote, Takara has been a leading producer of sake in Japan for more than 150 years. Takara Sake USA, established in Berkeley in 1982, uses pure snow melt from the Sierra Nevada mountains and superior rice from the fertile Sacramento Valley to make a sake worthy of the Takara mark, unquote. I learned a few years back that sake should be drunk warm, which is traditional, because it used to be much woodier tasting.
Yeah.
So drinking it warm made it taste better.
Do you mean warm as it heated or simply room temperature?
Warm.
Okay.
Yeah. But apparently, advances in brewing technology mean that most premium sake actually tastes best when slightly chilled now. So if you're going to drink sake, be sure to check if it should be drunk warm or chilled to get your best flavor. This has been your #NotSponsored message of the day.
Yay.
Yay. So, the streetcar shot pans to the right and shows off the Triangle Building. Now, okay, if somebody else is taking a tally of how many times I talk about the Triangle Building, please let me know. Please tweet at me at CatWaterFlame on Twitter, or you can tweet CharmChatsPod on Twitter.
But please don't tweet at me, Gingerblivet, because that would be useless.
Yeah, she don't care. But I would love to know how many times...
I care, just not as much as you.
Yeah. I would love to know how many times I've mentioned it and I haven't been keeping track. So please, if you have the time, if you happen to have already, been she's mentioned this a bunch, I'll keep a tally. Tweet at me, let me know, or send me an email, charmchats@gmail.com. Let me know, please and thank you. So then we get a shot of the Coit Tower, the one with the birds, and then another shot of the Golden Gate Bridge before we get back into the action. Back at the park, Dee is crying in the back of a police car, but not like she's been, arrested. She's just sitting in the back of the car. Piper is talking to her, but we don't hear their conversation because we are taken over to Phoebe and Prue walking and talking.
Where we discover that Shannon Doherty is slightly bow-legged.
Yeah, a little bit.
Not as much as Jensen Ackles, but still.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah. We also see Phoebe's full outfit better, and we can now see that she is wearing a skirt that has a pink paisley dot print on it, with a pink diagonal stripe that has some sort of other paisley pattern on it. She also has on white tights and chunky-heeled Mary Jane shoes. Oh, and her leather jacket is nearly knee length. Mm-hmm.
And in a rare moment of honesty, Prue has told the cops the truth about what she saw, which is that there was a creature with whirling eyes who took David, and naturally they thought she was nuts.
Of course, because wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
But this is how we learn that David's not the first kid to be taken. One was taken yesterday in the exact same spot.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it happened 20 years ago.
Yes. Now, see, I do wonder, if you knew that kids were being taken from that park, that a kid had just been taken from that park yesterday, don't you think that possibly the community would have heard about that? Or at least that the cops would have been paying attention and been like, maybe we should scout this park because this kid was taken and we know there's going to be this party here with a bunch of, tiny children.
I can understand why they wouldn't want to be staking that specific spot out like that.
I guess.
Because, if there were no eyewitnesses to see who abducted the kid, you would have no way to know it was at all connected to something that happened 20 years ago.
True.
No one, probably almost no one on the force would have been on the force back then.
Very true. Very true. I hadn't thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. I'll allow it.
Yeah. It's tough to see a pattern when you only have 2 data points.
True.
And you don't realize a third has been added.
Yeah. Because we don't know if this has happened before the 120 years ago.
If it were something where, every 7 years, 2 boys are snatched exactly 12 hours apart or something. Then you'd probably be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And if it's always from the same spot, then, it's not enough of a pattern for me to think that the cops would be up on this.
All right.
But they still should have probably, posted flyers.
Yeah, something.
About the missing kid.
Something. But Prue and I share the thought that a demon that steals kids is the worst. And that's when we learn about the 20 years ago kidnappings. But Phoebe doesn't know if those kids were ever found, and Prue, of course, is feeling bad because she thinks that she could have saved David had she not been surprised.
Damn distracted.
Yeah. Well, if Phoebe tells her to give herself a break because her power's growing, and, it's the first time she channeled her power through her hands.
And on the bright side, now she won't have to squint because she was starting to get some crow's feet.
Yes, get those little lines. And, of course, Prue, has to throw out that she hopes that no one saw her, which is a throwaway line because that you hope.
Know.
Yeah, that you hope that no one saw you, and we know that someone did see you. It was a throwaway line, but whatever. Piper then comes up to them and says that it's very frustrating to not be able to tell Dee who they are and how they can help. And Prue says that they need to get back to the Book of Shadows, and Phoebe thinks that an albino demon with whirling eyes should be a whole chapter in the Book of Shadows.
Oh, Phoebe.
Yeah.
You, my sweet summer child.
Yeah. Then Prue's phone rings, and she realizes that she forgot about the appraisal. Piper tells her to go, and Phoebe takes Prue's phone, hangs it up and winks at Prue and makes a joke about cell phones always being out of range, which I thought was hilarious.
It was funny, but
very dated. It was a very dated joke.
Well, not just that. I wasn't focused on that because I can understand that. I've had dropped calls, but on Claire's end, it's gonna sound like someone just hung up on her.
What do you mean?
She answered the phone and then immediately hung it up.
No, that phone. Okay, so I didn't write this in my notes, but I know this. That phone, when you flip it down, it doesn't automatically answer.
Mm-hmm.
You have to flip it down and push the button to answer.
Oh, okay.
So she flipped it open and pushed the off button. So
it's going to look like someone ignored her.
No, because, again, this was back in the 90s when cell phones were a newer thing. It basically just makes it seem like the call tried to connect and then didn't, and it just goes to voicemail. Because the phone rang more than twice, therefore it doesn't sound like anything on the other end. It doesn't be like, oh, they hung up before it even rang, or oh, they...
Okay.
Whatever. Yeah.
Still, it's kind of a weak excuse.
It is a little bit of a weak excuse, but when you're Prue and she's Claire, you gotta use whatever you got.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, Prue goes to her car, and we see the dude that saw her use her powers doing, a weird leg stretch against a tree.
Stretch or whatever, watching her
yeah,
as she drives off. And then he gives this sleaze bag grin.
Oh my god, he fucking smirks before he walks off, and I want you to punch it off his face. You know me, I am not a violent person.
Mm-hmm.
I am all talk. All bark, no bite, absolutely. But I would have fought him. So mad. Then we cut to someplace dark and dank. underground, I'm assuming, because, hole in the ground, they went down.
And the only albino dude we see is, rattling this cage made out of fences and bed frames and shit.
Yeah, it was weird.
And we see a little boy curled up, just kind of, hugging his knees. We can't see his face, and spoiler alert, we never see his face.
Yep, we only learn his name at the very end, so.
Yeah. And then he walks past, and we hear David yelling for help, but there's another albino dude who's got a hold
him
of
down, yeah. So the other one holds his hand in front of David's face, and some, blue lightning stuff shines in his eyes. I think I got, one or two good pictures of it.
It was like a weird cage.
Yeah, it was an odd CGI effect.
It was a bubble.
It was hard to take pictures of.
A lightning bubble.
Then the albino dude's eyes swirl like crazy for a moment, and then turn all black, and David's eyes turn all white, and then he freaks out that he can't see, and starts yelling for his mother. Why is he calling for his mother? Seriously, it's not like he doesn't know where he is, right?
Mm.
Does he think his mother is there?
Maybe he thinks that it was a dream and he's waking up in his room.
Yeah, I don't know. It was an odd...
I don't know.
Odd thing. Because it's there's no reason, really, for him to be yelling for his mother. Just saying. But then we cut to an establishing shot of the Halliwell Manor from a low angle, and there's a pink flowered plant in the corner of the frame. It's a new shot. We haven't seen this one before. I kind of enjoyed it. And then, in the kitchen, Piper is looking through the Book of Shadows, and Phoebe's on the computer, but Piper can't find anything in the Book of Shadows, and she closes it, but not before we see that she was on the page that just says, demons. It's a chapter heading page or something. And it also looks like the page had been, wrinkled at some point. It was odd. I took a picture of it.
It was proud how they distressed it.
Yeah, it was a little weird. Phoebe asks if she looked under whirling eyes, and Piper's an hour ago. But she says that she found demons with no eyes, demons with 4 eyes, eyes that grow legs.
Which sounds fun.
But no whirling eyes, which is a slight annoyance when we get to the actual page later, where it says in there that they have whirling eyes. Just saying. So, she's closed the book, and now she's getting random food items out of cupboards and the fridge and randomness.
While Phoebe is explaining that she found news clippings on the internet about the kidnapping 20 years ago.
The web.
Yes. The world wide web.
Yes.
About the kidnappings 20 years ago, and found out that only one of the boys was ever seen again, and his name was Brent Miller. She then sees that Piper has been getting all this random food out of the cupboards, and she's like, sweetie, I know you're stressed, but that's not going to help you. And Piper looks at her like she's nuts. She's like, no, fuck you, this is for D.
Yeah, I'm sending D a care package. And we see that one of the boxes that she grabbed is Chips Ahoy. I'm not going to tangent on it, but you should totally check out their wiki page just to read about the advertising campaigns that they've done, because it's very interesting stuff. It's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Phoebe continues about all the stuff she found out about Brent Miller. Apparently, after he was taken 2 days later, he was found roaming the streets, blind, claiming that storm drain monsters stole his eyesight, and the cops thought he probably just caught a parasite.
Well, yeah, because, you've been down in a storm drain, and now you're blind. Why wouldn't they,
Yeah.
Whatever.
And Phoebe says she'll continue looking Brent up on the web and see if he knows anything that could help them.
Yeah. And then we cut over to Buckland's via exterior shot, where we see brown suit lady walking with red umbrella lady, and then the dude with the umbrella and the briefcase walks past them. Mm-hmm. So, these are mostly extras that we have seen before, which means we have seen this shot before.
Mm. We cut to Prue's office, where we see her, taking notes on some little crystal container.
Yeah.
That's on her desk. And
then the guy who saw her use her powers walks in. I think he was in a gray suit with an orange shirt. I don't know. Like I said,
yeah.
I didn't bother writing it down because at this point I just fucking hated his guts and wanted him to gone.
And apparently that translates for you into not noting the clothing.
Yep. That's how that works.
Okay.
Yep. We learned that his name is Eric Lohman, and he's a reporter for Bay Weekly, which is an alternative press.
So at this point that means internet?
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Or tabloid.
I'm assuming tabloid.
Okay.
That would be my thought process. So, we get a short IMDb trivia tangent time. Eric is played by Scott Plank, who was born on November 11th, 1958 in Washington, D.C. And unfortunately, he got into a car accident on October 21st, 2002, and died 3 days later due to injuries he sustained in that accident.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's 2 people, I think, in this episode that are
Dead.
Well, no, it's 1 person in this episode and 1 person in the band that was in a song in this episode.
Yes.
So, But his last feature film was the movie Holes, with Sigourney Weaver, Jon Voight, Shia LaBeouf. There's a dedication to him at the end of the credits of that movie. I know that it's based off a book, and I've been told that it's quite close to the book, so I do want to see it someday, but I haven't actually watched that movie.
Mm-hmm. They abridged some of the stuff that made sense to abridge, and the only thing they completely threw out was that Stanley was fat when he got to camp, because they thought it would be too stressful to make an actor lose all that weight
Makes
while
sense.
filming.
Yeah.
Which is how they found Shia LaBeouf.
Got it.
I think that was Shia LaBeouf's, first major role after Even Stevens, or possibly during Even Stevens.
You know, I honestly did not want to get down onto a Shia LaBeouf tangent, so I did not even look him up.
Well, I watched Even Stevens a lot, so...
Okay, see, I did.
It's close to my heart.
All
I
right.
still have the "We Went to the Moon in 1969" song stuck in my head occasionally.
Not a clue.
They had a musical episode. It was delightful.
Okay.
But yeah.
Eartha Kitt is in the show.
And Dule Hill!
And Dule Hill. So that really made me want to watch it. So Dule Hill played a character named Sam. I have no idea who that is, but, whatever.
Well, did you read the book?
I did not.
Oh,
No,
you
like I said,
You
I
need to
didn't.
do all of that.
Yeah.
No, he's in the flashbacks with, the woman from Medium. Patricia Arquette.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, she's in the flashbacks.
I've seen that show, too. I just couldn't think of it.
Yeah, Patricia Arquette is in it, too.
Okay.
And they're both in the flashbacks. And I would presume that Scott was in the flashbacks, because I can't remember him being a character in the modern-day scenes. But whatever.
I don't know. To be completely honest, I didn't think to write down the character that he played. Because then I went off on a Dule Hill moment. Mm-hmm. So in the TV show Psych, Dule Hill played Gus, as Sean's little co-star dude. In the episode 65 Million Years Off, we see, all these holes that a paleontologist dug on the land. Sean mentions that this is just like that movie with Sigourney Weaver. And he also mentioned Shia LaBeouf, he mentions Jon Voight, and Gus keeps mentioning, keeps guessing movies, but he never actually correctly guesses the name of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's funny because he was in that movie. So, yeah. Okay, back to Scott. Just before he got this role, he was on 12 episodes of Melrose Place, which I always thought was a spinoff of 90210, but apparently it's not. It's also about the insanity and drama that happens to people in California, so it's close to the same premise of 90210, the original Beverly Hills 90210, but it's not a spinoff, which I totally thought it was.
Okay,
Though I think they might be in the same universe.
I'm on his IMDb, and there are 2 credits after Holes on here. One of whom is Guns Before Butter.
I was just going by his IMDb that Holes was the last, big feature film that he was in, so I'm assuming that wasn't a feature film.
Yes, he's listed as Trout Walker.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in the flashbacks. I'm pretty sure he was the douchebag in the flashbacks.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But what I thought was very fun is that his second role ever was in the 1985 movie A Chorus Line, where he was a dancer, which that was my favorite musical for a very long time. And I will still randomly get songs from that stuck in my head. I don't know if you can hear Chiquita upstairs.
She's gnawing on her bone.
Gnawing on the bone, grinding on it. But if you can, I apologize. Anyway, so I'm done tangenting for the moment. Let's get back to the show. Eric tells Prue that he wants her help with an article that he's writing. And she's like, on auction houses? And he's like, no, on magic. Because he saw her levitate 2 people in the park with just a wave of her hand. She stares at him, which he takes as a no comment, and jokingly asks if she's a magician, referencing both David Copperfield and Lance Burton. But we've had enough wiki tangenting this episode that I won't go into them. However, I did not realize that Lance Burton retired in 2010.
Lance Burton retired in 2010?
Yeah.
Why?
Okay, so I will go a little wiki tangent because I remember. I didn't write it down, but I remember this. Apparently in 2009, he had been in Vegas for a while. and doing stuff in one of the casinos there. And he signed a contract with the casino for 6 more years, so he should have been there till 2015.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, a year into that contract, they asked him to reduce his budget, and he was like, no, I'd rather just leave. And so he did. And he hasn't done anything since.
Okay.
He basically retired himself because they're like, could you not cost us so much money? No? Okay, bye. But it seems that it was his own doing, so I don't think he's all that mad about it. Anyway, so Eric tells her that his police contacts told him that her name keeps popping up in unsolved murder cases and, wonders if her boss reads his publication. Prue, of course, is like, don't threaten me. And he asks if she's going to make him fly into the wall.
And he kind of just, jump to the side or, lean.
And then he knocks a glass bowl onto the floor where it shatters into...
bowl.
Yeah, it shatters into a lot of pieces.
And, okay, that confused me because I thought her office was carpeted, and it, makes a sound like it went on linoleum or something.
Yeah, there was a lot of glass crack sound that was happening.
Yeah, the Foley artists went a little overboard.
Yeah.
And also, the fact that he was audacious enough to walk into an auction house, into an appraiser's office,
and then break something. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. But, so, she stops herself from using her powers to stop it from falling on the ground or breaking or whatever, and he comments on that.
I'm not sure that she stopped herself so much as her arms were crossed, and she can't squint at it anymore, and it took too much time.
Well, no, but she definitely, you saw that she was going to move her hands, and then she stopped herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, so, he's commenting on her that, that must have taken a lot of...
Restraint,
yeah, or whatever. As he's scooping up the broken pieces of this bowl, and we hear the sound of glass, clinking against each other, and it really made me hope that he was cutting his hands while picking up those pieces.
Yeah.
Which, to be real, he would have by the way he picked them up, and yet, somehow, nothing. He also says that since the kids saw her using her powers, that the cops will have corroborating evidence once they find him. Which, he doesn't seem to understand that kids think superheroes are awesome, and he's totally going to protect her secret identity.
Huh.
Because, yeah. Prue picks up the phone to try and call security, but he hangs up her phone, pushes the button.
Yes, the hang-up button.
Yeah. And it's work with me, because he's going to write his story, and he can either make her out to be Wonder Woman or the devil incarnate. Yeah, I totally almost looked up Wonder Woman, and I'm like, no, I've wikied enough.
Yeah.
For now. Though I think I might wiki one more time, possibly,
too. Goodness knows you will.
Yeah, I will. I wikied a little bit more, but not a whole lot. But yeah, and then he does this, weird wink and click of the teeth thing that, again, I just... He tells her to think about it, and he leaves. And, he waves as he goes, and I truly dislike him on, a deep physical level. Yeah. Just shaking your head at me. She has no words. I'm
agreeing with you.
She has no words. She's just shaking her head. So then we get some shots of boats in the water in front of a building that looks vaguely, rounded. Not, round, but, curved, I guess. With a lot of windows and a lot of balconies. And we cut to Phoebe standing in an awesome-looking apartment. And a woman wearing a black skirt and purple sweater with only the top half of buttons done over a gray sheer-looking top. It was an odd outfit, and I had to comment on it.
Mm-hmm.
Tells her that Mr. Miller will be with her in a minute. Brent enters the room with a seeing eye dog.
Well, we're supposed to assume it's a seeing eye dog, but really it's a golden retriever with no harness.
Well, it had a short leash.
Yeah, but there was no harness.
No, but he was also in his house, so...
This is true. It's just funny to me that he would feel the need to bring out the seeing eye dog for company.
I think he did it for dramatic effect, to be honest. But, so he has a pretty nice goatee. He's wearing dark glasses that in some lights looked vaguely purple-esque. It was weird.
Or maroon.
Yeah. What a maroon. and a blue polo shirt and black pants. And you've already mentioned that the dog was an adorable golden retriever.
Yes, a sweet golden retriever. And Brent himself is played by Raphael Sbarge.
Yeah, most people will recognize him now from Once Upon a Time, or he was on Prison Break, and he was on Star Trek Voyager.
He was also in an episode of Criminal Minds where he was a synesthete who thought he could tell when people were lying. I'm pretty sure that was his episode.
Yeah, I vaguely remember it, so I'll allow it, because I'm not going to go on a tangent more than that, because I didn't really find anything interesting enough to mention.
He's been in a lot.
He's been in a bunch of stuff, but I didn't watch Once Upon a Time. I have only seen the first few episodes of Prison Break, and Voyager was not my Star Trek, so, you know, whatever. Phoebe and Brent exchange hellos, and we learn that the dog's name is Helmuth, and that Brent designs software for the visually impaired, which is why he's got such sweet digs. And he jokes, oh, he didn't think a blind man could live so well. And Phoebe does her adorable, like, no, that's not what I meant, kind of adorable. It was a cute moment. And then Phoebe mentions that she wants to talk about his kidnapping, but Brent doesn't want to talk about it.
And asks Lucy, his
housekeeper. He gets loud enough with his objections that Helmuth barks, and that's when the woman in purple comes in. We learn her name is Lucy. I don't actually think we learn that she's the housekeeper until...
No, he says housekeeper later.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think we learn that she's the housekeeper until Andy shows up later.
Oh, yeah. And he asks her to show Phoebe the door. So Phoebe starts to leave, but then stops, turns around, and says she's not leaving because it's happening again.
Yeah. And Brent tells Lucy that it's fine, and then she takes the dog into another room, so I swear the dog was just there for eye candy.
Just to let you know, yeah, he's really blind. See how blind he is? He needs to see an eye dog.
Yeah. So... Brent wants to know why Phoebe believes his story about the monsters, and she says it's because she's seen her fair share of them. And she asks him for info on his kidnapping, and he mentions the storm drain and the blue sparks in his face, and then he was blind. But he also remembers them saying something about auras. Now,
why would they have been talking about that?
Yeah, why would they have mentioned casually about auras? Like, that is an a la convenience line, because...
Who knows, maybe that was their first time doing this shit, and they had to get the plan down.
Maybe.
Maybe they were brand new baby demons.
Maybe. So, then we get a nighttime Golden Gate Bridge shot.
Beautiful nighttime shot.
It was really pretty. And then a building with a banner for San Francisco Philharmonic's charity concert Under the Stars.
And here's my question. Why are they having a concert under the stars in the
inside?
Building?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a bunch of people who are supposed to be dressed spankily and somehow not.
Yeah, well, everyone's dressed in kind of fancy clothes.
I saw more ladies in suits than I saw in dresses.
Well, it is San Francisco.
But like office wear.
But it is San Francisco, so, you know. But... there was one woman who walked by wearing what looked to be like a blue crushed velvet dress.
Nice.
And I'm only mentioning it because it caught my eye, and it was very 90s and totally something I would have worn. I tried to get a picture of it. I don't know if it actually came out. If it did, it'll be on the website. Then we pan down to a storm drain, and we see two bald albino heads pop up.
Two bald albino heads that are clearly completely disproportionate. Like, they're not the right size. They filmed a storm drain for a few seconds, and then green screened them in, but they green screened them in, and whatever opening they were looking through was larger than the actual storm drain, so they had to scale it down, so their heads are fucking tiny.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hilarious. Did you get a photo of that? Oh, yes, you did.
I did indeed get photos.
And it's like, the frame is tilted or something.
Yeah, because like they pan across and then end the thing.
Because that curb is maybe 6 inches tall.
Yeah.
And those heads are definitely more than 6 inches.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just bad. But at any rate, they are looking out across the crowd.
Yeah,
and
we get POV from the drain.
They see a black guy talking to people, and the people are like shaking hands, and then this golden aura appears around him.
Yep.
So the demon on the left makes this hand gesture and starts choking the guy, and all of the golden light goes into his throat.
It was the one on the right.
From the demon's point of view?
Oh, I guess from the demon's point of view.
Yeah, from the demon's point of view, it's the one on the left.
Okay.
From audience, it's the one on the right.
Yes.
But yeah, he's like baring his teeth, grr, and for some reason he's wearing leather gloves.
Well, because they're all in black.
I know, but the
All
gloves
that
are
you can
weird.
see is just the
gloves are
white
weird.
of the face.
The fact that
Yeah.
demons wear clothes is weird, actually.
Well, yes, but, So they seem to be really excited by this guy. So he makes the hand gesture thing, starts choking the guy, and the golden light looks like it's getting pulled into his throat as he grabs at his throat.
And he falls to the ground, and people are coming over to him, but they can't figure out what's choking him.
Yeah, so there's nothing
they
can do.
Dies, and
they drop
the
back out of
Baldies
frame.
drop back out of frame.
And we go to a commercial break. But can I just say, the one on our left does this, weird, backs down. I don't know how to explain it.
It was hilarious. The other one just goes down.
Did I do a thingy? Hold on. Did I do a thingy? Here it is. I did a burst photo because I just thought it was hilariously funny. He's like...
Yeah.
It's like he's looking out and then he just kind of tilts his head back and falls backwards.
Yeah. That's great.
And it's just very, very funny. I don't know how to describe it other than that. It's hilarious. But, so, the quickest of side notes, because I just wanted to mention that one of the albino bald dudes, the one on our right, the one that choked the guy out, I believe, is played by Dennis Kiefer, who is not only a kickboxing champion, but he is currently a working actor and a stuntman. He has done stunts on tons of movies, including X-Men, Serenity, Iron Man 3, John Wick, and the upcoming movie, The Accountant. I just wanted to give him a shout out because stunt people need more love.
This is true.
Because they're amazing and they hurt themselves.
Yeah.
For our fun and entertainment.
Mm-hmm. Daniel Radcliffe's stunt guy got in an accident and became a paraplegic. Yeah.
So.
David, I think is his name?
Yeah, I'm fairly certain.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to give a little shout out to the stunt guys, Especially after last week when we had, so many stunt people that we could see in the show. But I didn't know any of their names.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were just stunt people. But this is an actor who happened to be a stunt guy as well. So I was able to look him up. That made me happy.
Mm-hmm.
So let me get an exterior night shot of the Halliwell Manor, where we get to see some more of the back of the house. And in this shot, we can actually see that the second floor windows on the side of the house have a different stained glass than the first floor windows do.
Cool.
It's I don't know if we've noticed it or mentioned it before.
I don't think we have.
I don't know if I took a picture of it. Horde Plaza? No, of course I didn't, but I will probably go back and take one. Because I am me and therefore I might just. Who knows? If I did, it's on the website, because,
Yeah.
That's how I work. That's how I do. Whatever. So Piper is sitting on the stairs, searching through the Book of Shadows, and Phoebe comes down to sit next to her. And as she's walking down the stairs, we see her shirt riding up, just enough to give us a glimpse of her stomach, because we can't have a single episode where she doesn't show some skin, right?
Right.
Yeah. And this is when we learn that the albino dudes are called Grimlocks.
And that they are underground demons who roam from city to city, killing powerful forces of good by seeing the unique auras that surround them, and by stealing the sight of innocent children.
Mm-hmm. It's how they see the auras. Phoebe calls them hitmen for the dark side, which is kind of accurate. Piper reads that the stolen eyesight will only last 24 hours, but only if the children are alive. And then Phoebe grabs Piper's wrist to read her watch, and it was adorable. It was this, grab the wrist, turn the wrist, because she had her arm, upwards.
Yeah. According to Piper's calculations, that means they only have 14 hours.
Less than 14 hours.
Less than 14 hours to
vanquish the baddies. But they need a specific item for the potion called Schisandra root. Schisandra root, which is hard to say. So I looked it up, and it is a real thing. It's a magnolia vine. It's also called Schisandra chinensis. Its common name is five-flavor berry, and it's a native plant in China. Mm-hmm. The name comes from the fact that the berry possesses all the 5 basic flavors: salty, sweet, sour, pungent, which is also known as spicy, and bitter. They can be used to make into a tea for medicinal purposes, and it would be a bright red color. The Chinese make wine from the berries. The Koreans make a cordial drink, which is kind of like a juice typey thing. And the Japanese use it as a remedy for colds and seasickness. Russia also really likes the berries, so much so that in 1998 they released a postage stamp depicting the plant.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. Prue then calls for them from the door, and they go downstairs, leaving the Book of Shadows on the stairs. But they don't just place it. No. Piper closes the book and then chucks it behind her. And it was just
Yeah.
The funniest thing ever.
It was kind of adorable.
And then, as they come into the living room, we see that Prue's shirt is a spaghetti strap crop top.
Why not?
Why not? Prue tells them about Eric, and Piper says my favorite phrase of everything happens for a reason. She thinks that it might be time that the world knows about them, and Prue says that knowing would just make their lives worse.
But Piper's just like, well, maybe if people know, we'd be able to tell Dee what we're doing and give her a little hope.
Yeah.
And then Phoebe jumps on the train with Prue, and she's like, that's a bad idea.
Yep. And they mentioned E.T., which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah,
media
remember
circus.
E.T., you could have a media circus, and you'd have crazies hounding you day and night. Like, who the fuck wants that?
Exactly. And so Piper relents. And then she's like, okay, fine, I'll go see Josh and see if he has, like, a map or something of the storm drain system, because that's, where the demons live. And Phoebe says she'll talk to Brent again to see if he can remember where the Grimlocks took him. And Prue gives her, like,
Who's Brent?
Yeah, but no, she doesn't say who's Brent.
Oh, yeah.
She just goes, Brent? And it literally took me a moment to realize that she didn't know who he was. Yeah. And she wasn't just be like, oh, you're on a first name basis with him now? Like, because that's where my brain went first, was, oh, first name basis, are you flirting with him? But it was like, oh no, she doesn't know who he is.
Yeah, she wasn't there for any of that.
Yeah. Took me a moment, but then I remembered. So, Piper asks Prue if she can find the Shassandra route, and she says that she'll try as long as Eric isn't following her. Then Phoebe and Piper start heading toward the door.
First, and Phoebe asks Piper what she'll do if Josh wants to have the talk while she's there, and Piper says she'll just tell him she has a headache.
Yeah. Which is a nod to the not tonight I have a headache cliche, but for some people sex can actually relieve a headache because,
endorphins.
Yeah, endorphins and
dopamine.
Yeah. And then they leave, and we are treated with an exterior shot of the street for the police station. And Andy walks up to Daryl, holding 2 coffees in a little carry thingy.
And there's a logo on the side of the cups that says something Java.
Yeah, it just says Java in all caps.
I thought there was some small lettering under it or something.
Hold, please. I took a picture.
Of course you did.
Of course I did, because I thought it was fucking funny. It just says Java in all caps, and then there's like a little like picture.
No, I think those are letters below it.
I don't think so.
I think it's script.
I'm fairly certain
it looks like a C.
I'm fairly certain it was just whatever, like picturesque.
I think it might be just a different font.
Maybe it says like Java Coffee or something.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is Java Coffee, which is so stupid.
Which is even funnier. That makes it even funnier.
Yeah.
Andy is in a black suit with a blue shirt and a blue patterned tie.
And Daryl has black pants, a purple shirt, a purple patterned tie, and a suit jacket that is dark gray. And I really like this outfit.
Yeah, well, but the suit jacket kind of looked like it was a shade of purple because of the shirt and the tie.
Yeah.
Like, it really took me a moment to realize that it wasn't a purple suit jacket with his black pants. But even if it was still a good-looking suit on him. So Daryl gets handed a coffee, and that's when we see that it says Java on the side, which is, it was funny. Andy asks Daryl, anything on the night sheet, which is the most cop talk I have heard on this show. He's just asking about the dead guy from the night before, but it was very cop talk, and I liked it.
I didn't recognize it as cop talk, but yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a phrase that you would only really hear in a police station.
Cool.
Yeah. So Daryl says that the victim was Jerry Cartwright, who apparently donated millions to the city's anti-drug program, and his death was listed as strangulation even though he died in the middle of a crowd of people and nobody saw anyone lay a hand on him. He even called him a saint. Then Eric enters the room, calling for Andy by name, Inspector Trudeau, and he introduces himself, and Daryl decides to be elsewhere and leaves. Eric asks about Prue and says that her name keeps popping up in a lot of Andy's unsolved murder cases.
But Andy's playing it cool. Mm-hmm. So Eric goes on and says, cops love to talk, especially if you pay them enough. So basically, he just admitted to Andy that he bribes cops.
Yeah, and he's really making me hope that Andy will punch him. Like, I know that he won't, but a girl can dream.
Arrest him. Like, he's implying that he bribes cops. That's illegal.
Yeah. And
if not, it definitely should be.
Yeah. So Andy gets annoyed, of course, as anyone would, and he gets up to take his jacket off, and I'm assuming this is just so he won't punch the guy, right? Because that's a headcanon I can get behind. Mm-hmm. So, as Andy is taking off his jacket, Eric mentions Prue's unusual powers, which stops Andy, and Eric notices that Andy had stopped in his tracks. Andy, of course, denies knowing anything, and Eric tells him about what happened in the park.
Pulls out a little tape recorder presses the button to turn it on, and asks for a comment. Andy
And he's-
leans in,
yeah, he's
and
just
he
not
just
having it.
goes, no.
Yeah. So Eric then decides that it's now a police cover-up story and reminds Andy
Well,
that
he doesn't decide now it's a police cover-up story. He tells Andy,
Yeah.
okay, now I'm going to change my story so it's about a police cover-up.
Yeah.
Because what does a reporter apparently do whenever they're not getting the information they want?
They change the story to...
They threaten
make it work.
whoever they're talking to change the story.
Mm-hmm. And then he reminds Andy that he was given a chance to work with him. And he leaves, and he passes Daryl on his way out, and he said something to Daryl, but I didn't catch it.
I don't remember.
I think it was something like, yeah, that's right, or something, which was just weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But Daryl comes up to Andy, who is now putting his jacket back on, because he has decided to assign himself to the kidnappings, because, you know, he can do that, apparently.
Well, he and Daryl, the only 2 cops in the city.
Uh-huh. And then we go to an exterior night shot of a white building, and there's a bunch of people walking around. And apparently, this is Josh's office, but it seems like a different setting than we saw last time when we went to his place. But it is night, and it is not raining, so who knows? Because I don't think we got an exterior of his office last time. We just got the exterior of Berkeley, yeah. Piper and Josh are there, and they're looking at blueprints.
And he's like, dude, why are you trying to look at all these blueprints? Why do
And
you
she
need blueprints
makes
of
up-
a storm drain? So
She makes up
a
the
story
most adorably unbelievable excuse.
that there's a client at Quake who wants to have a rave in a storm drain because he
'Cause, you
runs a Roto-Rooter type company.
Right. So it's, you know, a theme thing. It was just stupid enough to work, and by it, I mean Josh. Josh was just stupid enough to believe it.
Yeah. And he says it sounds dank, and I'm like, dank memes.
Yes, dank memes. Got them dank memes.
Yep.
So he says that he wants to talk, and Piper then pulls a Phoebe by not getting all the info before talking about what she thinks he's talking about.
Yeah. And she's like...
She's talking about having sex, and he's talking about a job offer he got in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Now, I did look it up. It's a 5.5 hour distance apart by car down the I-5. It's like 380 miles.
And that's without traffic.
Yeah. So, you know, I get the, if you don't want me to go, I won't go thing that he says. Because, you know, that's the perfect amount of pressure to put on someone that you've never even had sex with, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That you've had 3 dates.
Mm-hmm. So Piper stares at him for a moment and then freezes him and starts talking to herself.
Yeah,
and
she puts a pause on it and then starts panicking.
Yeah. And she realizes that she just can't do this right now, that she needs more time to deal.
So she pulls out her cell phone and calls his office phone.
Yeah, she starts yelling. He unfreezes and sees that she's moved from right in front of him where she was, but his phone rings, so he doesn't mention it. But I do have a picture of the face.
Well,
that
he turns toward her and then notices the phone is ringing. And so he's like, hold on a second, and he goes to answer the phone.
He has, like, his hands out and, like, wait, how did you get over there? Like, that kind of thing. It was funny, because it's just like one of these days you're gonna do that, and someone's gonna catch you doing it. Mm-hmm. Like, it's gonna happen.
As he walks over to his office phone, she just grabs the blueprint, lifts it over her head, and walks out the door.
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
And then he answers the phone and realizes there's nobody on
there.
That fucking line. Yeah. And he puts it down and turns toward the door to see it's wide open and Pipes is gone.
Yeah, and he kind of looks a little sullen.
Sad face.
Yeah, like for the first time, I felt a little sad for him.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't last. Anyway, so then we get an exterior night shot of Brent's place from farther away this time, and it doesn't really look like the same building, but I think that's maybe just because the balconies and windows weren't as easy to see in the night shot.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. So he and Phoebe are sitting on what looks to be a very comfy couch, which, you know, he's got money, so
yeah,
one would hope comfy couch.
Oh, yes.
And he tells her what he can remember, and then they have a cute moment where he tells her that he can hear that she has a beautiful smile.
And that she's disappointed because he can't remember anything.
Mm-hmm. And then she touches his arm and has a premonition of a little boy in a storm drain, and we get an insert shot while the kid is going through the storm drain of a sign on the wall that says SFPUC number 12.
Mm-hmm.
I know SF is San Francisco, but I have no idea what PUC is.
Don't know.
And I'll be honest, didn't bother looking it up. Didn't care enough. But, so, you know how when she gets a premonition, she does this, like, gasp? So Brent, who is blind and therefore has attuned his other senses to be great, is acutely aware of this gasp and asks if she's okay. And she says that she is, and then asks him about the clothes that he was wearing when he was taken, and about the tunnel that he escaped from, and is asking in very much detail about said things, and asks if he can remember anything else that he heard or felt.
And what he does remember is the sound of some big generator and cable cars.
Mm-hmm. So she asks if he has a map, and then remembers that he's blind and tries to apologize, but he does have a map, because Braille maps are a thing, and they're awesome. Seriously, do a Google image search, and you will find some truly cool stuff.
Sweet.
Love it. So, he gets a book, starts flipping through the pages until he finds the right map, and he shows Phoebe the bumps that indicate the power plant.
And there's a bit of a flirty moment where she's like, how can you tell? And he grabs her hand and puts it on the bumps, and he's like, here, feel this place. Those 3 horizontal bumps followed by a vertical mean there's a power plant.
Yep. On this map, this is what this means. But, so I took a picture, because he's holding her finger, and his thumb, just the angle that his thumb is pointed at, it makes his thumb look like a penis.
Kind of does.
Just a bit, and it made me laugh.
Yeah, but
So
leave it
hard.
to Phoebe to accidentally flirt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, she says that she'd better go, and he asks if she's psychic or something.
And she says, kind of.
Yeah.
But not really.
Yeah, so she deflects a little bit. And he says that she's a good person, which means that she probably has a strong aura, and urges her to be careful. And so now we know that her aura is going to be gold, because that's what we've been shown in this episode, that good people's auras are gold. And she takes his hands and assures him that she'll be careful, and then she leaves. And we cut to David back in the underground storm drains.
He's kind of feeling around on the ground, and he's consoling the other boy, who is apparently named Billy, as they are locked in a cage made of bed frames and fences. And David tells Billy that his mom has a friend with supernatural powers.
Yep.
And then one of the Grimlocks, like, shakes the cage, and he's like, Shut
up! In this, like, deep demon voice. And I think that's the only thing we ever hear them say. That one single line of,
Yeah, I think so.
shut up! Which, again, makes me wonder about the whole them talking about auras thing, because...
They're just not that talkative.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they never talk.
Alright, fine, I'll allow it. So, then we cut to Buckland's the next morning via the left panning shot that we have had before. And in Prue's office, she is now wearing a white shirt and a gray blazer-type jacket thing that looked a little fuzzy. I don't know, it was maybe wool or something. It was weird. And she's talking on the phone with Piper, who is in her car, and we only see a glimpse of her outfit, so I can't tell you what it is at this time. I'll tell you when we see it later. Prue asks if Piper has heard about the guy who died the night before, and Piper says that it's gotta be the Grimlocks, and we learn that they now have less than 3 hours. So they've fucked around for 10 hours.
Yep.
Trying to do some shit. Piper then asks if she's gotten the Shassandra route, and Prue says that she's leaving now to pick it, and then asks about Brent Miller. Now, if the plant is native to China, where is she picking it from?
Well, it's a magnolia root. Magnolias do grow in the U.S. And San Francisco has a ginormous Chinatown. So it wouldn't surprise me to find out that there's a garden somewhere with a bunch of Chinese magnolia plants.
Okay, alright, I'll allow it. But I was just very confused by that for a moment. I'm just like, if she had said that she was going to, like, buy it, or going to find
Pick it up.
Yeah, pick it up.
Maybe she just left out up.
Doubtful, but maybe. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. So she asks about Brent Miller, and Andy, who is now standing at the doorway, asks who that is. Prue gets off the phone and then asks what he's doing there. And he says that he's there about the kidnappings. And as Prue gets up, we see that she's wearing completely work-appropriate leather pants.
Oh, give us the leather pants. Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge Series, leather pants. Look it up, people.
What is it?
They did a parody of Bad Romance. It's the villains of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series talking about getting the source of Yugi's power, which they surmise must be in his leather pants.
Uh-huh. Okay. Apparently, if you are Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans, you might already know what this is, but I'm not really an anime person.
I'm not anymore, and I never was for Yu-Gi-Oh! But I found that abridged series, and it's delightful.
Well, if you find a link for that specific thing, I will put it up on the website.
I'll be texting it to you.
Okay. Anyway, we end sarcasm with the completely work-appropriate leather pants. Prue says that she already told the police everything that she knows, and Andy brings up Eric coming to see him. So Prue, of course, tells him not to believe anything that he says, and then he says that he normally wouldn't, but this time he does. And she just kind of stares at him, and he says he knows that she's hiding something, and while he thinks that he may know what it is, he's accepted that she can't or won't tell him. He also warns her that Eric isn't going to let up, and tells her to watch her back, and he heads to the door, and she stops him and thanks him, and then he smiles and leaves, and she watches him go. And then we cut to an exterior of a building with many power lines.
So many power lines.
Many power lines around. I'm guessing that's the power plant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Phoebe is at an opening to the storm drains, like a door, holding a blueprint. She is wearing dark blue pants that are closer to leggings than pants, as they are very tight on her, and a blue sweater that is a near match in color, with a messenger-style backpack. She also has a red shirt underneath the sweater, but we don't really get to see it very much, so, you know.
Yeah, she is looking at the map, and there's a big door next to her, and she pulls some boards out from in front of it, opens it, says,
Bingo!
Before closing it back up and going away.
Not just going away. She runs up the hill.
Yeah.
Like, it's like she ran there and then ran back, because she didn't have a car.
Mm-hmm.
She was not in a car in this situation. So, yeah. Then we cut to Piper pulling up outside the house. Didn't her station wagon used to be dark green? Because it looks black now. Okay, that makes me feel better that I wasn't just imagining things. Okay. So, we now see Piper's outfit. She is in jeans, a gray sweater set, a tan jacket, and a brown purse on her left shoulder. That will be relevant in a minute. Prue gets out of her car as Piper's running up the stairs because Prue parked in the driveway, which I've never understood how they decide who's going to park in the driveway and who doesn't. It's a little weird to me, but whatever.
Well, if Prue's got the nicest car, she wants to keep it hidden from the neighbors.
I guess so. But you'd think the nicest car would be the one you'd show off.
And have it get stolen?
It's not that nice a car.
90s?
Maybe. I don't know. Whatever.
They're talking about the route, and then Prue tells Piper about her conversation with Andy. Piper just happens to see a stroller roll into the street in front of a truck, and she freezes it just in time.
Yeah. I'm sorry. We have to go back for just a second, because I love the way that I wrote this in my notes. They talk for a moment, being vague about that stupid route. Because they've mentioned this route like 12 times. It just made me laugh. Sorry. Okay, so yeah, so she sees the stroller, freezes it just in the nick of time. They run down to the road. They look inside the stroller, which is a Graco brand. And there's a blanket, but no baby.
And then we're going on a tangent about Graco.
Yes, we're going to go on a tangent for just a moment. So, Graco was founded in 1942 and bought out by Rubbermaid in 1998. I'm assuming it was allowed to keep its name because of the brand recognition that they had. But I just think it's funny thinking of a stroller made by the same company that makes my plastic storage containers. It's just, for some reason, that's funny to me.
It's just a different kind of storage container.
Yeah, it's like, keep your baby in this. Click. You know. But Newell Brands was formed in 1903 and changed its name to Newell Rubbermaid in 1999. So I'm assuming they bought Rubbermaid and became a thing. They are a worldwide marketer of consumer and commercial products with brands including Sharpie, Crazy Glue, Mr. Coffee, Yankee Candle, and Bubba water bottles, just to name a few. Now, I own a Bubba. I can see it from here.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice. I do like my Camelback better, though.
As do I.
And the way that Camelback came about is truly fascinating, but I have wikied way too much today. So I will put a link to the Camelback wiki page on the website, and you can check it out for yourself, because it's a fascinating way of being like, oh, that makes an awesome water bottle. Yes, let's make this available to everybody.
Yes.
It was awesome.
Cut back to the show.
Yeah.
Prue looks up and wonders, wait a second, when did the Johnsons get a baby?
Yeah.
And then they look,
and we see her nipples on full display.
Oh, yeah.
I want to know.
She's in the mood for baby.
Yeah, I want to know how her boobs stay so damn perky without a bra. Because they're not fake.
I don't know.
Anyway, whatever.
Anyway, they look up and they see Eric with a camcorder sticking his nosy little face through the bushes and filming them. And they realize it's a setup.
Hey, because he's standing on himself. I mean, standing on a trash can. Sorry. This is too good. I couldn't not.
Yeah. So they realize he's a reporter, and this is a setup. And they run back to their spots, and Prue reminds Piper to keep her hands up. But for some reason, Prue doesn't think, I have to turn my head towards the stroller.
Yeah. But, so, Piper pulls her purse up on her right shoulder, and this is when Prue reminds her to put her hands up, just as everything unfreezes. And they stand there awkwardly for a moment before going inside. Like, don't look, just go. Eric gets down from his trash can, slightly confused, and then he looks at his camera, rewinds and plays, and he does that several times, and he notices the purse problem. So he now knows that there's more than one power in play.
Well, there's not just the purse problem. There's a problem wherein he sees that the purse has moved. He doesn't notice that Prue's head has suddenly snapped back. He doesn't notice that the entire frame of the shot went down by half an inch.
Yeah, so I got a picture of him looking at the camera, so we see the camera view. So we have, the first picture that I got was before with the person on the left shoulder. And then we have the picture with the person on the right shoulder. But in between those is a picture that overlaps.
Yeah.
Where you can see that Piper's head is a good, foot down from where it was.
Yeah, as is Prue's.
And
Prue's
Prue
also
is facing the wrong direction now.
Yeah.
For some reason, he doesn't notice that bit. He doesn't notice that Prue's facing the wrong direction, but he notices the purse.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Now,
though I did think that it was a nice way, that little overlap that they did was a nice way of showing that those two things happened in the same second because of the freezing thing. That was kind of cool.
But I don't know, if I had been them two and I had to pretend like I hadn't frozen time, I would have then rushed down to see if there was a baby, and then you can turn and see the dude and go, fucking hell, what's going on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was annoyance for me, was the fact that
you wouldn't be able to hide the goddamn tape.
Yeah. Is that, you stand there, you put your hands up, and then you just go in the house. No, I'm sorry. You put your hands up, and you go, oh my god! And you go running toward this stroller that has just, been in the street. Yeah, it was a little weird. Whatever. But then we get a commercial break. And when we come back, we're at the exterior of the manor again. And there's a panning shot that starts on the second floor and goes down. And we see that this is a live shot. This isn't a B shot. Because we see Prue looking out the window as Phoebe runs up the stairs to go inside the house. Now, side note, I mentioned that those pants were super, super tight on her. They make her butt look amazing. I took a picture.
Yep.
Sorry, sidetracked. Okay, so we finished the panning shot on Eric, sitting outside the house in his convertible.
Ooh, I thought of a nickname for him.
Yes.
Douche reporter.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
That works.
Like ace reporter, but douche.
Yeah.
Douche face reporter.
See, that's a little too long, though. Douche reporter works. Or just douche. I'm okay with that, too.
No.
He is a douche canoe. It's one of my favorite insults.
I know. Did I introduce it to you?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Nope, I've known that one for ages. But he's sitting outside in a convertible. It's way to be obvious, dude. And then he knows that he's being spotted. Because I have a picture of him where he's just, finger on his lips, I'm gonna
pick
get them.
His fucking nose.
Yeah.
Nose that's getting into everyone's business.
Just want to punch him. So then we cut to inside, where Prue is still standing at the window, and she leaves her spot as Phoebe comes in, and after a moment of chat, Prue tells her about Eric being outside, and she and Piper both think that they got away without him being aware of anything, because, a la convenience. And we know now that they have less than 2 hours to find the boys, and they're worried that they won't be able to get past Eric, and then the doorbell rings 3 times.
Yeah, in quick succession.
Uh-huh. Prue answers it to Eric, who is being a dick.
Yeah.
Mind if I use your bathroom? Sure, let me drown you in the fucking toilet. Sorry. I wrote in my notes, he's being a dick, but that's to be expected, as that's how he's written.
Yeah.
So,
and he tells them not to use their magical powers on him, because he already hid the videotape. That she was one of them, apparently, stopping time, or rewinding time, or whatever.
Yeah. But I thought it was funny that he tells them to not use their magical powers as she's just trying to shut the door in his face.
Yeah.
She wasn't even trying to be all magical. She was just trying to close the door. But whatever.
Mm-hmm. But he reveals how he knows that one of them did something because he saw the purse move from one shoulder to the other.
Yeah.
And then starts talking about wanting an exclusive and
Movie deals and such.
Prue just shoves him out the door and shuts it.
Yeah. And he yells that he's gonna wait outside. I'll be out here, kind of thing. And then the girls form a plan where Prue will stay at the house and finish the potions while Piper and Phoebe go and try to find the boys. And Prue's like, don't worry about him. I'll deal with him. And then they all start walking toward the dining room for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I figure Piper and Phoebe are going to go out the back door.
Yeah, no, I get that. But, why is Prue walking toward the dining room?
Drop off the ingredients?
I don't think she had anything in her hands at that point.
I don't know.
It doesn't really matter. It was just an interesting thing. Because then we jump to Prue coming outside, and Eric is lounging on the stairs.
Yeah. She
legit...
She gets his attention.
Legit lounging.
Yeah. That crease on those pants. I don't like it.
Yeah, it looks like
fucking slob.
Yeah, it looks like a vein going down his leg. It's just weird.
Ugh. Yeah. Prue gets his attention and, makes like she's wanting to make a deal with him. Just long enough for us to see Piper and Phoebe's heads, bop down the driveway and get into their car. We hear the car start. He turns around, sees them leaving, and he's like, okay, I'm going to chase after them. As he's running down the stairs, Prue magics a screwdriver into his tire.
Yeah, it was some sort of garden tool.
A pick.
It was more like, it was like a little, weeder pick thing. Yeah, it wasn't really a screwdriver. But yeah, I thought it was very funny because the tool flies into the tire, which flattens nearly instantaneously.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't necessarily happen unless you pull the thing out.
Well, the thing is, the head of that thing is wider than the shaft.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
You are right.
It wouldn't happen instantaneously, but it would happen very quickly.
Yeah. All right. So he does this freak out thing, which I got burst photo of. And it looks like he's doing, just this weird dance move when you go back and forth. It was very funny. And he's all like, I know you did that. And she's like, prove it. Which was just beautiful.
Prove it.
Yes. So then we cut to a closer shot of the storm drain door that Phoebe found earlier, with Piper's car parked outside. And then inside, we have Piper climbing down a ladder with a flashlight as she steps into a puddle and quips that she's in the wrong shoes. But if you looked at those shoes, they looked like they should have been waterproofed. They looked like they were leather, rubberized.
I think she probably would feel better in galoshes, though.
Yeah, probably. Then Phoebe comes down the ladder, and she gets out her map to figure out where they need to go, and Piper shines a light on the map. Phoebe makes the decision on which way to head, and as they walk, she asks about Josh and the talk, and Piper just shuts her down. She's like, this probably wouldn't be the best time to ask about how it went with Josh. And Piper's like, no, it wouldn't. It was funny. It was a cute sister moment, and we haven't had one of those. Really, truly.
Yeah, not this episode.
You alright there, Blue?
He's just very shivery.
Oh, baby. So then we cut to a slightly different exterior shot of Brent's place. So that's 3 different exterior shots for this one guy's house.
And they can't manage to get multiple...
Yeah, exactly. There's 3 different shots for this one guy's house that we're never going to see him again.
The real estate place, they got 2.
Yeah,
And this one, they got 3. When there's no people really in the shot to make a difference.
Yep.
The fuck.
Yeah. So we see Andy standing at the window, looking out at the view, still in his same black suit. Brent is now wearing a light gray suit with a bluish gray shirt and a gray patterned tie. There's a lot of blue in this episode.
Mm-hmm. And he wants to know if Andy is there about the kidnappings, but Andy says, no, I want to ask you if Prue Halliwell has stopped by. And Brent's like, no, I haven't met Prue Halliwell, but I have spoken with a Phoebe Halliwell.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you where she went if that'll help.
Yep. And then we cut back to the storm drains.
Because can't stay in one place for too long.
Yep. And Piper thinks that it smells. How does one place smell so bad? Kind of thing. And Phoebe says, now there's a good sign. And she points to the sign that she saw in the premonition. And it was a funny use of the phrase. It was beautifully done. It was great. And then they see a rat. And they freak out. And Piper in her freaking out, loses her footing and falls into a giant hole in the ground that for some reason they didn't see, and upon landing on the grate is knocked unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
We get a quick insert shot of the Grimlocks
Sitting next to a
trash fire,
eating rats out of sticks!
They have now heard the noise. I got a picture of that, and it is the funniest thing.
Because watching two guys in black trench coats with black leather gloves and white face paint eating rats on sticks
is
what
just
the fuck?
It's just great. I wish that the resolution on the DVD was better. Like, I wish that it was an HD show because all these pictures look super blurry and it saddens me because I don't do screen grabs. I'm doing pictures from my cell phone of my widescreen TV, you know?
Yeah.
But it's the best we gonna do, so we get it done.
Yeah.
So we get that quick insert shot, and then we cut back to Phoebe, who is freaking out, calling Piper's name a bunch, and then covers the hole with a piece of board that is there a la convenience,
and runs
to go get help.
We jump back to Prue at the manor in the kitchen, stirring a pot of what we assume is the potion.
Yep.
And she's taken off her jacket, so we see that the white top has like these angel hair, not quite vermicelli, just angel hair straps.
And it looks kind of like golden chain.
Cool.
Like it's like little like balls of gold little thing.
And there's like some supplies all around. There's a mortar and pestle on the counter. There's a mason jar and another one that's filled with like neon green liquid. And she's stirring the pot and has the best line of the episode. She says, I feel like I should be cackling.
Yeah, I took a picture of her in like the best pose in that phrase. It was great. So she has the one mason jar that's there filled with neon green liquid that's uncapped, and an empty mason jar that she goes to pour the liquid from the pot into it just as the phone rings. So she stops herself, puts the pot back down, turns the flame off.
And actually turns off the stove.
Yeah, I was really proud of her that she turned off the flame. So she goes to answer the phone, and it's Phoebe who tells her what happened with
Piper, and, hurry up and get there. Don't forget the potion, but, hoof it, girl.
Yeah, and so she hangs up the phone, and for a split second, it looks like she's going to leave without the potion. Like, she stops, turns her head to the right, and then goes, oh, and turns around again.
Yeah.
And she grabs 2 capped mason jars filled with neon green potion and leaves. Now, most people would say this is a continuity error. Those people would be wrong. She was making 4 bottles of potion. And how do I know this? Because there is a panning shot as she is going to get the phone that shows 2 capped mason jars full of neon green liquid at the edge of the table. And I have a lovely blurry photo of it where you can totally see her nipples too. It's kind of funny.
Yep. More nips.
Yep. But I made sure to take it off of IMDb.
That it was a continuity error?
Yep. And I erased it from the Wikia because it is not a continuity error. She indeed had... We all know how
you feel about those continuity errors.
Absolutely. She indeed had 2 jars already made. What I want to know is why she only grabs those 2 jars, or, conversely, why she was making 4.
Extra?
But if you're going to make extra and you have a 3rd one, why don't you grab that 3rd one?
A la convenience.
Whatever. She goes outside, and she's now wearing her little black jacket again, so she had enough time to get her fucking jacket on. Just saying. And she finds that the reporter has done something to the engine of her car because he doesn't want to be left behind again. And I want to know how he got the hood of her car up. Does she leave the car unlocked?
He probably jimmied it.
Well, because I know, for my car, the hood releases on the inside of the car.
Yeah,
so there's no way that I'm aware of to open it from the outside. So if he indeed did jimmy the car to get into it...
No, jimmy the hood.
See, I don't think that would have worked.
I don't know if it would have.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's just my explanation.
Yeah, I don't know. So she tells him to fix the car, and he says something dickish and then points the camera at her. And she doesn't have time for this shit, so she gives in.
And tells him, I'm a witch with magical powers.
And he gets so giddy.
Oh my god.
Like a kid on Christmas morning when he finds out they're going to Disneyland. So giddy. And he pulls the cables out of his pocket.
These rando, springy-looking cables.
Yeah, they were spark covers. I don't know what they were. But he pulls them out and he's like, okay, let's go. And I have a picture of the face that he makes. And I want to punch him.
Yep.
So hard.
Yep.
So hard. He says, let's go. And we do. We go to commercial break.
The last commercial break.
So we come back to see Phoebe is waiting for Prue outside the storm drain door. Prue's car pulls up, and she and Eric get out of the car, And Phoebe asks what he's doing there, and he's like, making my career.
And she's like, I didn't have time.
No, she goes, I didn't have a choice. Yeah, she says she didn't have a choice, which, again, she kind of did, but whatever. She asks where Piper is, and Phoebe tells her, and then they start to head inside, and Eric tries to follow them, but Prue tells him that there's too many lives at stake, including her sister's. She doesn't want him to risk them. And he's like, okay, fine, I'll wait outside. The girls go in, and he waits 3 seconds before following.
3.5 seconds, basically. He barely waits.
3 on-camera seconds. Like, I counted. So then we cut inside the storm drains, and a Grimlock is walking around near Piper, who calls out for Phoebe. So, of course, he hears her and moves the piece of board.
She kind of, like, turns her head up toward the light, and we see that her aura is glowing gold.
Yep, and she looks super duper pretty in gold glowing aura-ness.
Yeah.
Like, even in her, like, whacked out, wackadoo state, she's super pretty in her glowy.
Mm-hmm. And so the Grimlock starts choking her.
Of course.
Aura.
Because aura.
Then Phoebe and Prue come running around the corner, and Prue magics a piece of a very large pipe. Just smack him in the face.
Just randomly laying there, a la convenience. He falls to the ground, and then he gets up and walks away. No. Not walks. Saunters. He saunters away like he's got not a care in the world.
I kind of thought it was more of a stalk. He kind of stalks away, like a panther.
It was weird.
Yeah.
Is what it was.
Yeah. And then they go over to Piper.
And she's still not feeling so great in that hole. And we get her POV, and we just see a flashlight pointed down.
And then because we can't stay in one place for too long,
we get outside, where Andy is pulling up in his car. And he gets out with his flashlight and his gun.
His giant flashlight.
Yeah. And he goes inside, gun first. Which was just, again, it was very, like, action movie. Like, dun, 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 gun first. You know, I don't know. It was funny.
Yeah.
Then we cut to Eric
in the storm drain. As he's talking to his camera, we're getting the camera POV.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'm reporting live.
But he isn't, because he's taping himself.
Yeah.
But whatever. He's talking about following the girls, you know, all 3 of them witches, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's talking,
like panning the camera around, and then suddenly there's a Grimlock in frame.
Yeah, he is not a very good cameraman, because he is doing so random pans, whatever. And then he pans to a wall, and as he pans back, we have our stuntman Grimlock in frame. He grabs at the camera, and we hear Eric scream, and all the joy in my heart multiplied, because I knew we wouldn't have to deal with his dumbass anymore. So we cut to the girls, and Prue is using her powers to lift the grate holding Piper out of the hole.
There's this great, like, levitation sort of hand gesture.
Yeah, I got a picture of her floating in the air, and I thought it was very funny because her hair is, like,
through
the grates. It's kind of funny. And Prue and Phoebe are telling Piper they need to get her outside since she's hurt, and then they'll come back in to look for the boys, and they start walking back to the street. And then we cut over to Andy, because again, can't stay in one place too long. That is the theme of this particular scene, moment thing. And he's looking around in the drains, and comes upon Eric lying on the ground. He checks for a pulse, and apparently finds none. And I wrote in my notes that, you know, I wanted him gone because he was a dick, but now I feel a little sad to know he's dead. Yeah, no, I was lying to myself. I'm so happy he's gone. He was so annoying. Like, as I'm going back through it now, it's like, oh my god. Like, I don't wish anybody dead, but, like, I'm glad he's gone because he was driving me crazy. I wanted to keep punching his face. Though, I do wonder what his aura was.
Well, good auras are gold. I'm assuming they're going by the, like, standards of precious metals. So next would be silver, and then bronze. And after that, probably copper.
Yeah.
And then a few things down, I'm thinking his is probably brass.
Brass. Yeah, I could see that.
Like tarnished brass. No, fuck it. His is pewter. Like a sickly fucking pewter.
Like tarnished pewter.
Yeah.
That's funny. Anyway, a Grimlock walks up behind Andy, who sees it and shoots at it, but it does nothing.
Because what mere bullets can harm a demon?
Yeah. The Grimlock grabs Andy, and Prue gets there just in time. A la convenience. She yells for him, and then uses her powers, and the Grimlock flies through the air into some pipes. And he gets up, and this one runs away.
Mm-hmm.
And we see the pipes smoking just a little bit, which kind of made me laugh. As Phoebe and Piper appear, they are told that Andy knows about Prue's powers. Prue then explains to Andy that the Grimlock is a demon in the cutest way ever. She's like, he knows a Grimlock attacked him. And he goes, what the hell's a Grimlock? She goes, a demon. Like, just nonchalant about it. It was just kind of funny. He's like, a demon.
Uh-huh. She tells him that they need to get Piper back outside. Mm-hmm. Piper, of course, wants to stay.
Well,
but Prue's like, no, honey, you're too weak.
You're far too weak to use your powers.
You've been knocked around, sweetie.
Which now clues Andy in that Prue's not the only one with powers. And he's just like, her too? And they kind of give him this look like, yes, you moron.
What a maroon.
What a maroon. Which was just great. It made me laugh. So she asks Andy to take Piper outside, and he's all like, I'm not leaving you two alone. And Prue does that, like, fake angry face thing that she does. And she's like, do I have to use my power on you? And he's like,
do I have to use my mom voice on you?
Yeah. And he like backs down and he goes, I'll wait for you outside.
Yeah.
And he helps Piper to the street. And then Prue sees the videotape for the camera next to Eric on the ground. And so she picks it up and goes to put it in the back pocket of her very tight leather pants. Yeah, but so she's still trying to fit the thing into her back pocket as they turn the corner, which is just funny. And then we cut a little bit of time because as they come around the corner in the next shot, she now has a map in her hands.
Yeah.
So we've definitely cut out a bit of time.
And they turn the corner. There's a Grimlock right there. They both look up and scream.
And Alyssa's faces are the best. I got some pretty great shots going frame by frame.
Yeah.
So Prue grabs the top of one of the jars of potion that Phoebe is holding. And it just kind of pops off, which means that it wasn't a proper mason jar. It wasn't properly closed. But Phoebe chucks the potion toward the Grimlock with some of the best faces ever. The potion smacks him in the face.
And starts melting him.
Yeah, he melts away in
like
a lovely CG puddle. But first, before that, he kind of smokes a little and turns into a weird, like, showing, like, his brains on the... It was a very weird thing. I took a couple of screenshots. And they cut back to the girl, and just Prue's look of confusion was just perfection. Like, wasn't expecting that to happen. Like, that's the look that she has on her face, and it's just great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
some pretty CGI gruesome.
Yeah, but he's doing, like, the one picture that I have where his face is half gone and his hands are up, and it kind of reminded me of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Have you ever seen that?
Not recently.
One of the bad guys, I can't remember who, I think the bad guy was played by the guy who does...
Lloyd?
Yeah, who does Doc Brown, yeah. But so that's kind of the imagery in my brain that I have in this moment, is just in that little moment before he melts into crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it was just because of the big thick gloves on his hands.
Right.
It was just kind of funny. So he melts into a CGI puddle, and it was glorious. And Prue jokes about toxic waste in the sewers.
Yeah. And
then she recaps the empty jar, and they keep walking. So this is the first time that they have used a potion to vanquish a demon.
Yay!
Which is kind of cool. We are not keeping tally of that.
No, we're not.
Because, no. So...
It gets incessant.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Mm-hmm. So they split off into different directions, and Phoebe finds David and Billy. And the other Grimlock sees Prue and starts choking her, and she drops the bottle of potion that she's holding. It breaks, splashes onto the ground, and Phoebe yells for her, and then hits the Grimlock over the head with a piece of pipe, a la convenience.
Mm-hmm. Well, honey, it's the sewer. There's pipes everywhere.
Yeah, but there's usually not just random pipes lying about.
There's a cage made out of bed frames and fences.
Yes, but that I could see the Grimlocks made those cages.
You don't think they needed some pipes to accomplish that?
I don't think so. I really don't. Whatever, it doesn't really matter.
Blue agrees.
Blue with your snowing. So, he then starts choking Phoebe, who is glowing gold. Yes, Blue. That was a big snore. She's glowing gold, and Prue uses her powers to grab the puddle of potion and fling it onto the Grimlock. And they did a wonderful job of making a reverse shot work in their favor.
Yeah.
Because you can tell, like, if you watch it in slow-mo reverse, that they literally just took some liquid and hit it to the ground and then reversed that shot. And they did a really good job with that.
Indeed.
And he melts away, gets hit with the potion, and melts away with a lovely high-pitched scream.
Mm-hmm.
Not a Wilhelm scream,
No.
though I had hoped.
One may always hope.
Yep. So we don't get to see him become a puddle. We just kind of see him melt away.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad, but...
He's no Minty melt away.
Yeah. After he melts away, Prue and Phoebe make sure that they're both okay before walking over to David, who isn't blind anymore. He's like, I knew you had magic powers.
It's a miracle.
Yeah, in that way that kids believe in magic. They say they're going to collect Billy and go to leave, but we don't actually see that. And then we get an exterior daytime street view of the police station.
Where Andy's at his desk and Daryl walks in.
And he questions Andy's knowledge of where the kids are and about the kidnappers. Andy replies that he got an anonymous tip and that there weren't any kidnappers. The kids just followed a kitten into a storm drain and got lost. Then Daryl, of course, asks about Eric being down there with a broken neck. And then he's like, oh, he must have just slipped while trying to get his story, you know. Anything for the story, that guy. Such a shame.
So Daryl leans in real close to Andy. And he asks him if he really expects him to believe that story.
And Andy replies,
For now.
For now.
But
Which...
only for now. Avenue Q.
Oh, yes, I haven't seen that in a very long time. Well, I haven't seen it. I've heard the soundtrack. But I haven't heard the soundtrack for that in a very long time. Exactly blue. But I thought it was very interesting that he's just like, for now. Not, yes, I need you to believe this, or yes, because that's what happened. It was just, I need you to believe this for now. And that made me happy, because then it makes you think that there's a possibility that at some point in the near future, Daryl might know what the fuck is going on.
Yep.
You know. So then we cut to the girls on the other side of the station, and Phoebe asks about the kids, and Prue is a bit worried about what they'll say once the police start questioning them. But like I said before, I really think that kids believe in superheroes and they're going to keep the secret.
Yeah.
Though, this is again one of those things for me, like, do we ever hear about this child ever again? Nope. Yeah, so,
Or his mother.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be friends. Like, this I think is my only annoyance with all of these shows, is they bring in these characters for one episode and then we literally never hear about them again.
You never talked about at the top of the show how Dee got a name and more than one line.
Yeah, I was worried. I really was. I was worried because she got a name, she got some lines, but she's fine.
Well, so did David. But of course they're not going to kill a kid.
Yeah.
Not in the first season anyway.
Yeah.
That's not really a spoiler alert, that's just me saying they're definitely not going to do it in the first season.
Yeah. So, Phoebe asks if Piper is okay, and she replies that she is.
But for some reason, when she was in the storm drain, she kept thinking about Leo.
Yes. And Prue then asks, what's she going to do about Josh? And Piper says that she's going to call him and tell him to take the job in Beverly Hills, because if she's thinking about Leo, then she's definitely not thinking about Josh.
No shit, Sherlock.
Mm-hmm. And then she just walks away. Like, I'm done with this conversation
and
now.
Phoebe decides that's the time to mention, that's too bad. He had really nice glutes.
Yeah, she calls after her and says it kind of loud, and it was very funny. Prue, of course, looks at her funny when she says that line, and then Prue walks away as Phoebe sees Brent.
Brent walks into the doorway and doesn't turn or anything, so she yells for him and waves her arm and then puts it back down awkwardly and says, over here.
Yeah.
He turns and walks on over, and she asks where the dog is, but he takes off his sunglasses and says
he's retired. And we see that he's not blind anymore.
Which, the physics of that kind of confuse me, because then I guess they're implying that these are the same demons.
Yeah.
But that means, now, if the sight is only effective for 24 hours, if the kid is alive.
Yeah.
My question is, wouldn't it stop being effective mean that it's either gone or reverts to the kids?
I don't think so.
I assumed it would have just, been spent, and then they would have had to go somewhere else and find more kids, and that's why.
I don't think
if
so.
If it doesn't work for them, it's gone. But also, an interesting note, Raphael, during the previous scenes where he'd been playing a blind character, he kept his eyes closed most of the time. From what I could see through the glasses, his eyes were just closed. Mm-hmm. Which, I guess that's one way to do it. And you're wearing sunglasses, so who's going to tell?
Yeah.
Except, me.
Yeah. Well, but see, okay, so here's the thing. You're talking about what they learned from the book.
Mm-hmm. It's vague.
So I took a picture of what it says in the book, and this is the thing, is he escaped. But there's a line in the book that it says, after the children's use has...
The Grimlocks consume them.
Yeah. After they've used the children for what they need the children for, that 24-hour period, then they eat the children.
Okay.
So the fact that he escaped, I think, is the reason that he is okay.
Well, no, my question wasn't about him being okay. My question was, the site itself.
But that's what I'm saying, is I think that because the sight works for the demon. The demon is pulling the sight from the kid, but it's not like the black eyes that happen. Because when they take the vision, the demon's eyes go black and the kid's eyes go white. It's not that the black eyes is what lasts for 24 hours. It's the ability to see the auras.
Yes, I'm not
is what lasts for
questioning
24 hours.
But because, Brent's sight has been gone all of that time while the demons were alive, but they weren't able to use his sight.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, why wouldn't it have either come back sooner or never have come back at all?
Well, I'm going to be honest and say that has to just be all out convenience.
Yeah.
Because if you are blind for that long, you're not going to be able to just be like, oh, look, I can see again, and just wander around like a normal person. Like, your brain is going to be like, what the fuck? Because it's not used to having all of that input anymore.
Yeah.
It's been 20 fucking years.
Mm-hmm.
So, all out convenience is what it is. So we see that he's not blind anymore. Phoebe questions why he's not blind anymore, and he says that someone must have slayed those monsters. And then he asks if she knows anything about it, and she pretends to zip her mouth closed in this adorable, adorable way that I tried to get pictures of, and there was literally no way for me to get a clear picture of what she was doing, because it just looked funky.
Brent tells her that he was right about her having a beautiful smile.
Mm-hmm.
Sees the boys on the bench in the hallway behind him, and says maybe he should go have a talk with him. She's like, oh yeah, sure, that'd be great. Do that.
Yeah, she's like, thank you. And then he's like, no, thank you. And then he walks away, and we see Andy walk up to Prue.
And he's like, well, now I know.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we go from here?
Yep.
And she's about to answer him, but all these reporters kind of walk up and are trying to talk to him about, this miracle of finding these 2 lost boys. And so Prue just kind of like slinks away.
They're like taking pictures
camera.
and whatever, and she just kind of like, she sees one flash go off and she goes, oh fuck this, I'm out of here. And she just turns around, walks away.
Decides to avoid that particular media circus.
Yeah. And then the last scene that we get is him turning around to face all of these press people. And we get the end credits.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So that means we are at our ratings portion of the eve. Have you come up with a rating?
I know the number. I'm trying to think of an item.
Okay.
What's yours?
Would you like me to go first?
Yeah, feel free to go first.
Okay. I am rating this one 8 out of 10. Swirly whirly demon eyes. Because bald albino demons seem too obvious.
Yeah. Also, swirly whirly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this a 6.5 out of 10 bassinet setups.
Bassinet setups.
Mm-hmm. The stroller.
Oh, that's not a bassinet. It'd be a pram.
It rhymes.
If anything.
It rhymes.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, pram shams.
Okay, there you go. Pram
6.5 pram shams.
Okay. It's like bassinet setup. That doesn't rhyme at all.
Bassinet set up.
Nah, not really. So I think it's interesting that you gave it a 6.5 and I gave it an 8. I know that I'm a higher rater than you ever are.
Yeah.
But why a 6.5?
Because it's not that memorable for me.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like, I completely forgot last week's episode even existed, so that's why it got a 5.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good enough for me to bother to remember. And this one, I remember the concept, but most of the details are just like, what? No. What? No.
Yeah, alright.
And of course, I had completely forgotten about Andy finding out about the powers at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I'd forgotten how it happened.
Well, that's why I got an 8, because Andy finally fucking knows. It would have been a 7, and then it was like, oh, wait, Andy now knows about their fucking powers, so they can stop, pussyfooting around it? Okay, that'll give it an extra point.
Yeah.
So, alright, I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
On to the outfits.
Oh, my favorite outfit is Daryl's purple shirt and tie.
Nice. I never think to rate, like, the boys, because they're usually always in the same outfit.
We always say it's favorite outfit. We don't necessarily say it's the favorite outfit that the girls are wearing.
True.
I like to have a more inclusive circle.
And that's absolutely fine. For me, I want to say which of the girls' outfits I liked the best.
Okay.
And then if there's another outfit that stands out, then I'll put that one in there as well. But so for me, for Prue, it has to be the white shirt, leather pants.
Leather pants.
Because,
oh, oh, oh.
Yeah. For Piper, it's the blue shirt, purple skirt outfit that she was wearing at the beginning. And Phoebe, I'm kind of liking the skin tight blue pants outfit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I don't find Alyssa Milano to be that attractive. Not really. But just her butt looks really good in those pants. And I'm not really a butt person either. But that's neither here nor there.
But that's neither here nor there.
Yep.
Glute.
Glutes. Gluteus Maximus.
Wasn't an emperor.
Anyway.
And
right.
Now, before we get to our plugs,
Mm-hmm.
we have another shout out to do
Yes.
to our second patron, Miss
Susanna
Susanna from
Sweden. Yeah.
So we shall now shout your name into the ether.
Susanna!
It's very difficult for me to shout.
Yes.
Fortunately, the ether is very close.
Mm-hmm.
And it can hear no matter how quietly you shout.
Exactly. And it's always appreciative of the names being shouted into it.
Mm-hmm.
For that is how it feeds.
Yeah. And now for some plugs.
Yes, because it's us done
Mm-hmm.
with the episode. We're so close to the end of the season.
I know.
It's so weird.
3 more episodes.
3 more episodes. So, before we do the last of the plugs, because it will lead into the plugs, we will not be putting up an episode on November 6th or November 27th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what I'm asking is if anybody listening wants us to do any, like, special anything between seasons. Do you want us to go through all of our ratings or just have an entire episode where it's just us talking and not talking about anything Charmed related at all?
Oh, that'd be tough.
Because I'm sure we could think of something. You can give us suggestions about what to talk about, and we'll do that. But I'm just going to throw it out there for those of y'all listening to let us know by November 15th.
Okay.
So if you're listening to this after November 15th,
Then
sorry.
clearly we survived the election.
Fuck, I forgot about the election. But yeah, so that is the question of what would you like us to do between seasons? Because otherwise, we're just going to take a week off.
Yeah.
And to be honest, we might still take a week off and then give you the extra episode between seasons. So we'll figure that scheduling conundrum out because we're doing holidays and such. So just let us know.
And the ways you can let us know.
Uh-huh.
You can email us at charmchats@gmail.com. You can tweet at us. We are charmchatspod on Twitter.
And those are the 2 easiest ways to get a hold of us.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can tweet at me directly at Catwaterflame. It's KATWATERFLAME.
We also have a Facebook page, which I know several of you have posted on.
And we thank you for that. You're amazing and you're awesome and
Yes.
we love you. That is just facebook.com/charmchats.
We have a Tumblr, which is also charmchatspod.
So don't message us on Tumblr because I don't check that one enough. For
Yeah,
that to
and
be worth it.
I can't check that one because I can't log out of mine.
If you do message on Tumblr, just send a tweet and be like, hey, I sent a message on Tumblr, because then I'll check it. But I legit set that one up to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have an Instagram, charmchats.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly videos of Blue.
It's
Pictures of Blue.
Yep, videos and pictures of Blue, and they're all adorable, and you should go to our Instagram and like every single one of them.
Speaking of videos and pictures of Blue, have you checked out our Snapchat?
Yes. Snapchat is Charm Chats because convenience.
Yep.
Not a lot of convenience, just convenience.
Yeah.
But again, our Snapchat is usually only on Sundays, and it's just Blue.
Yeah.
There's rarely anything other than Blue. Possibly one of us and Blue, but that's really about it.
Yeah.
So I will probably tweet out our Snap code again because it's been a while. And I will tweet out links to all of the places you can find us again because it's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. I think that's it. We're done for another week. All right.
So, sleep tight and don't let the warlocks bite.
Bye.
Bye. Whoa. You say bye? He shivers.
Eh.
Phoebe, Piper, and Prue, we've got evil to say and some potions to brew. So we'll see where it's at next week with Kendra and Kat on
like Grimlock.